Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Limitbreaker Jam Sessions. I'm your host, Andrew Bennett, and I'm here once again with my good buddy Luke.
Hi.
Lukepi. Lukepi.
That is me.
Yeah. Surri, as he is now known.
That is true. I legally changed my name to Surri. It's on my birth certificate.
Yeah. However, I am going to break the law and just still call him Luke because I'm not used to saying that yet. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I understand. Nothing wrong with that.
Alright, so we're here today to talk about Luke's brand new album, What I Want to Say, which is available right now if you're listening to this on Surri, SURRI.bandcamp.com.
That is true. It's also on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, a couple other places I'm sure. There's a cassette tape release.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a lot about that as things go on. And I'm real excited to get into this, man. You have been telling me about this album and sending me little bits and pieces of it for, it's been 6 months?
I have been working on it. I've been working on it since December of last year, and we are now in May, so yeah, about 6 months.
Yeah. And as someone who has heard, 8 drafts of this album, it feels like.
Yeah, you're kind of in an interesting spot because I've sent you lots of drafts. You've heard many versions and iterations of this album as it was growing and evolving into the hour-long monster that it is now. Yeah, it's funny. I think the first draft I sent you was like 5 songs, and it was just like the first 5 that I had finished. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm almost done with this. I think I'm just gonna do another EP, and then, no, it turned into a fucking double LP album, just very long. Had a lot of ideas.
Yeah, it's really fun because every time you'd message me with another draft, you'd be like, yeah, man, this is almost done, I think. I'm ready to just kind of call it here. Every single time, without fail.
Yeah, 3 months. 3 months later, I'm still working on it and adding to it.
You'd be like, yeah, this one's done. Okay, it's 5 songs. Yeah, this one's done. Okay, it's 10 songs. Yeah, this one's done. Okay, it's 12 songs. Yeah, this one's done. Okay, it's 15 songs. Yeah, this one's done. Okay, it's 20 songs.
Yeah, it capped out at 20. I just couldn't stop. I don't know. I just kept feeling inspired constantly, and it kept going. It kept growing, and I eventually had to cut it off. And I've still been recording and making stuff, but I'm officially done. I called it in April. I was like, okay, I'm finished. I'm gonna send what I have to the guy I know doing the cassette tapes. I'm gonna submit it to Spotify. I'm done. It's over. This is finished.
Man, you're a music machine. You know that, right?
It's all I know how to do, and that is for better or worse, but that's all I know how to do. This has kind of been an interesting experience compared to older albums I've done, because I had to slap my own hand away from the keyboard basically and say, okay, you're finished now, as opposed to other ones where I'm like, yeah, alright, I feel content with what I've done. I'm gonna release that, that's fine. But with this one, I just kept, I don't know, I had to jump off of the train for this one a little bit. But no, it was very good. It was probably the most creative and inspired and free I felt making a thing so far in my near decade long quote unquote career, I guess.
I mean, I think it's a good problem to have when you just cannot stop getting ideas.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely grateful. I'm gonna hold on to this as long as I can. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been very cathartic.
That's good. So now getting out of our official intro section and getting into the actual interview itself with the actual questions we've been writing down here for the past hour or so.
Whoa.
Yeah, we've got a structure, guys. Don't forget it, because we will. Um, give us a quick synopsis of the album in your own words.
I guess, yeah, if I want to nutshell it, it's like, I guess I would say it's the debut Surri full-length album. I've been doing a lot of like EPs and compilations and singles, one-off ideas, but this is the first like meaty big project that I've worked on under this name. A debut album is kind of an interesting thing. I haven't done a debut album since 2015. When I decided, okay, Lukepi, this stupid username I've been using for forever, I'm going to make this my artist name, and I'm going to make an album. And I did that with I don't know if you remember No Wonder in 2015.
I remember that.
But that was kind of like, it was an interesting experience. I'm like, okay, I've spent all my life listening to albums. Now I'm going to make one. And that one, is not very good. I was a teenager. I didn't know what mixing or mastering was. I didn't know what keys were. So there's a lot of like off-key fucking loops and nothing is mixed properly. It is a mess, but that was a very like, it was just a very fun and cool feeling to like release an album for the first time. And I kind of feel similarly about this one. Like, it's just first album. That's kind of a cool, fun space to be in.
It's a fresh start, really.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Would you say that fresh start helped with your motivation to turn this from another one of your 5-song EPs into a 20-song length beast?
I would say so, yeah. I kind of like the idea that now I have an album out, and I can, if people ask me about my music, I can say, okay, here's an album I made. Yeah, it's pretty neat. I'm pretty happy with it. Pretty stoked for it to finally be out.
So, when you and I were talking about this album, I remember at one point, I think it was a couple months, like 2-3 months after you had started work on it.
Yeah.
You messaged me and you were like, I think my goals with this are that I want this to be able to make people laugh, cry, and be terrified for their life.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm kind of a scary looking guy. I'm kind of a weirdo, and I was making this album, and like, I'm not really in the darkest of mindsets anymore. I'm doing all that like self-care shit that they talk about, and taking care of myself mentally, physically, trying to just live my life. But it's still very easy for me to tap into that space, that headspace, because it's also like, it's all I've known, throughout my life, is a lot of turmoil, a lot of self-loathing, and it's kind of an endless reservoir of inspiration to tap into. And I'm making these songs and I'm thinking, God, these are the moodiest, like, darkest, saddest tunes I've made. And I don't know, whenever I make an album, I don't usually like enjoy listening to it myself. This is the first thing I've made where I've like been listening to it back myself, like in between listening to music recreationally, like while I'm doing the dishes or going on a walk or something. Like, I like to listen to music, and sometimes I will actually just put the album on myself and just listen to it. I'm like, damn, this is alright. But I wanted to make something that was, kind of emotionally, I don't want to say powerful, that sounds fucking pretentious and stupid, but I wanted to make something that had like emotional weight to it. But I also wanted to throw in, kind of scary stuff and funny stuff, and just, there's a lot of like vocal samples, and we'll talk about sampling later, but I threw in a lot of just things that either made me laugh or had like emotional resonance to me, or things that kind of sound spooky and weird and surreal.
Mm.
I'm all about that surrealness.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement
or
with you there.
surreality, whatever the fuck the word is there. You know what I mean?
Surrealism. But
surrealism.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
That just kind of off kilter feel. And I do think that, like, from what I've heard of this album, and by that I mean I've listened to the entire thing from, like I said, like 8 different drafts that you've sent me.
Yeah.
I think you definitely tap into that very well.
Cool. I'm glad to hear that.
You hit that goal. And it's an album that's like, and I've mentioned this to you before. It's kind of funny to me that some of my most fond memories of listening to it are of like really early draft versions with songs that are like very different anymore. And it's like, I think it would be near impossible for me to actually review this album, because throughout the entire thing I would be like, yeah, so like this bit was different in this draft, and it has a very specific emotional latch point for me, so I'm not really able to review this. Send this to somebody else, please.
Would you say
I'm just going to talk.
Would you say that there are like bits and pieces that you enjoyed more in like earlier drafts than in the finished thing?
So here's the thing, where it's like, I don't even know if I would say that. It's just that the album's changed so much over time that there are bits and pieces that are latched onto moments that were very pivotal in my life. Like, you sent me the earliest of these drafts right before my workplace locked down with like full campus-wide COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
And so there's bits and pieces that are tied to things that I'm not legally able to disclose, that I was just kind of listening to while cleaning up in a quarantine zone.
Yeah, for sure. I remember you mentioning that. Yeah.
So it's weird.
Yeah.
It's not any kind of measure of quality at all. I think the final version is like overall fantastic. It's like, it's emotion.
Cool.
And you have made an album that is good enough to have those kinds of latch points.
That makes me very happy to hear, and that's hella interesting to me.
Yeah, it's like, it's locked in. I think of that point in my life, and I have like little bits of, I've got to look at the track name again. I'm not very good with names. You kind of know this already.
Yeah, that's okay. I believe the track
Xylem.
you mentioned. Yeah, Xylem. Yeah.
Like little bits of Xylem, like without the vocal clips and stuff, and it's just the instrumentation on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that was kind of the soundtrack for me doing a lot of work that I wished I wasn't there for, but I held on to that.
I remember you mentioning that you were like listening to it like on a drive home or something, and you were like looking at the sunrise.
Yeah.
It's interesting because when I was making that song, I was the morning before I like wrote the initial like piano loop that is the bass of that song. I had gone on a walk very early in the morning, and looked up at the sky, and I was like, damn, the sky kicks ass. And I'm pretty fascinated with like skies and planes and clouds and shit. Yeah, it's just a funny coincidence, I guess.
It's neat though. I don't know.
Yeah.
Emotions are fun. Music is fun. Except when emotions aren't fun. I don't really know where I'm going with this, but I think that art and emotion are completely intertwined in ways that are unrelated to like any traditional reviewer's definition of quality.
I think it slays ass.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
Yeah.
But I almost feel like that, like, I consider music to almost be unreviewable. If that makes any sense at all to you.
That makes you smarter than every music journalist that exists, but
I appreciate that. Yeah. Where it's like, I don't know, I have such a relationship with music where it's like, no one else's opinion on music has any value to me other than seeing someone that I respect going, this is fantastic and you need to listen to it right now, or I think you would like this.
Yeah, I'm not big on critiquing music either. You know, the only music review that I like ascribe to, the only form of it that I ascribe to is just people talking about their emotional response to it, which I think is valid and cool. And I like reading about and hearing about people's like I like going on Rate Your Music sometimes, and you know, you scroll past all the fucking shit, and sometimes you see somebody just talking about an album that they like and that resonated with them and interested them, and just talking about their personal experience with it. I remember reading this review for like The Replacements, Tim, and it's just this guy talking about being on a bus and listening to it and being like, damn, I'm sad as shit. That's the only music journalism that I give a shit about, I would say.
I think that's a fair take.
Yeah.
It's hard to just like put this into words, even like right now. This is not like something that was in the notes or anything. It's just like emotion is sometimes too great for words. And yet somehow the sound of music and emotion just get tied into one and the same, where that sound that you're hearing, that soundscape you're listening to, represents your experiences at this moment in life or augments it in some way, where it's like you can just go, this is an absolutely beautiful song that makes me enjoy being alive.
Yeah.
And I think you've accomplished that with this. I mean,
that is incredibly,
I don't know, as you're,
is incredibly sweet, and I'm very happy to hear that.
As your emotional crash test dummy, I think you know, mission's a success. Let's go home, boys.
Cool.
Yeah,
that makes me happy. I'm really glad to hear that. I definitely like. I've done songs with vocals and stuff before, and I did work with a vocalist. Starlet is a very, very good musician, very talented, very, very happy that she was interested in working with me. But I wanted to go mostly instrumental for this one. I'm not a very good singer, not a terribly talented songwriter, but I do enjoy, you know, lots of music that is poetic and it is sung and anthemic, you know, stuff like that. But I very much, my favorite thing in the world, and you know this, is texture and sound. And I think an instrumental song can be just as powerful as one that has, you know, the most heart-bleeding, poetic singing over it as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I that's the whole kind of ethos of what I want to say. You know, it's even in the dumb title. Like, it's things that I can't put into words. It's things that I struggle to say out loud. Things that I don't even think about. You know, just stuff that I want to express without being able to express it in any other way. And I'm happy that it resonated with you, and I hope it resonates with lots of people. I hope they give it a listen and they enjoy it and it does something for them. That's all I care about.
That's the thing. That's like we talked about a bit of this on the last interview, I'm sure, or if not, just kind of in personal things, times where it's like you had mentioned last time definitely about making music for yourself, but I definitely think this is an album that I believe has the potential to go beyond just making music for yourself. This is really good. This can it resonated with me emotionally, and it's art.
Thank you.
That's a beautiful thing about music. It's art.
Thank you.
And I think a lot of people deserve to hear this. I think you deserve as much attention as you can get with this. And we had our discussion last time as well about just how much we both hate algorithms controlling, like, growth of artists and stuff, like when it comes to their followers.
Not into that, and I also kind of hate attention too. So there's lots of moving parts here, but generally, yeah, I think it would be very cool if this album has some kind of reach. I think that'd be neat.
I hope it gets it. You deserve it, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah.
So, anyways, now we get back to the actual notes we had. So how did the album change over time?
We kind of touched on that already, and yeah, it just kept fucking growing. I don't know. Like, I started off, I'm like, I'm gonna make another 5 or 6 song EP, and I think the first one I made was Fox, and then after that, Pleiades. And I had finished Pleiades, and I was like, holy shit, this is cool. Let's turn this into something. And I was listening to a lot of house music, like Detroit tech house, and I made Guardian. I was watching Through Serial Experiments Lane again, and that was a big inspiration for that song. And then I did like Xylem and I think Moths. And, you know, I had a couple of tracks together, and I'm like, okay, this is awesome. This is going to be a cool EP. And I like woke up the next day and I was like, holy shit, I have more songs I need to make. And I just kept going. And I'm not going to talk about my personal life too much, but I'm in an interesting spot in my life right now where I can't get a job because I'm not fully vaccinated. I'm waiting on my second dose, but you know, the place that I'm living in right now has been on full lockdown, and I can't work. So I have a lot of free time to work on music. This is the most free time I've had to work on creative stuff, and I've been dipping my fingers into quite a few projects, actually. You know, stuff I'm not going to talk about here yet, but this album has been the main thing I've been focusing on, and it has been really, really nice to just have so much full time, like free time to just work on it. And I think it has definitely been for its betterment. Like, I've just been unhinged, just fucking sitting on the floor of my living room with my little keyboard, just doing whatever I want, and it's crazy. I don't take it for granted. It has been very cool. That's part of the reason why it's so long, I guess. I've just had so much time and so much energy and so much inspiration to just fucking make a beast, make a monolith, make a huge a huge album. And it is very presumptuous to assume that anybody is going to listen to an hour-long album that you make, but I hope that, you know, people give it a listen, even if they don't listen to the whole thing. If they just listen to a little bit and they like it, that would be cool.
Joke's on you, Luke. I just finished listening to Death Consciousness for the 7th time this week.
I love Death Consciousness. We shouldn't talk about that because we're going to talk about that album for 2 hours if we get into it now, but oh my god, Dan Barrett is such an inspiration to me. I love that guy.
Yeah. There's definitely a conversation we should have sometime.
I agree.
I think maybe on another episode of this if we ever get the time.
I love Death Consciousness.
Oh yeah. But it's like it's a great example though of like a low budget, super long album that it's got this wonderful cult following. Arrowheads, etc. You get the picture.
Can't you see it's all flown out of my hands? Yeah. No, yeah, it's kind of interesting, and God forbid, I'm not going to fucking compare myself to Dan Barrett, but yeah, you know, no budget, no fun, just fucking, and like an hour plus of very sad music. Not saying that this is my Death Consciousness, but
would you say that it's inspired you at all while working on this album?
Absolutely it is. Yeah, I mean, it's an album that's always in my rotation, and I kind of rediscovered it around Christmas last year. I started listening to it a lot, over and over again, and I've been listening to it a lot lately. It would be remiss to say that it hasn't inspired me, but I've got a lot of inspirations for this. I've been listening to a Deej a lot. The artist's name is spelled D33J. He's like a rapper, producer, and he makes just very like cold, chilling, experimental electronic music. If you've ever listened to Shlomo or Ground is Lava, he's kind of in their circles, but his album Death Valley Oasis came out in 2017, and I've been listening to that constantly as inspiration for like textures and feel, and he's very good. I like him a lot. I would love to make a song with him one day. But yeah, no, I've been listening to a lot of stuff that's been inspiring me.
That's pretty good. So I want to ask as well about, you know, some of your other inspirations, like aside from them, like, because listening to this, I definitely heard some Burial in there, intentional or not.
Very intentional, yeah.
Okay, good.
I love Burial.
I'm not insane. I just hear a new Burial song. somewhere hidden in I think Guardian was the main one that I was listening to, and I was like, I hear it.
Yeah. I mean, Burial's always been very inspirational to me, and when he dropped Chems / Dolphin, like around Christmas time, I think also last year, and I just kind of fell back in love with his music. I went through his discography many times after that, and I love like Self-Titled and Kindred EP, and Street Halo is so nice to me still. There's definitely like Street Halo is definitely like in Guardian's DNA. You know, if you were to fucking put Guardian into Ancestry.com, there'd be Street Halo would be in there. You know. I'm glad that you've been able to listen to it and pick out different things that very obviously inspired it, and I hope that I didn't rip anybody off, but I have been drawing a lot of inspiration from lots of different places, and it's been very cool. Yeah.
Listen, buddy, I'm the number one official Lukepi / Surri historian.
You probably are.
I've got it all. I've got like really early SoundCloud tracks sitting around somewhere. I've got DGN sitting somewhere on my hard drive.
Oh man, that's an ancient one.
That is that was like 2013, I think.
2012, yeah, something like that.
Something like that, like really early stuff with the little unofficial. No, that was official. That little Lukepi mascot that I think Steven drew for you originally.
No, that was Locke.
Oh wow, okay.
Lockavillain or Lockavelli on Twitter. I don't know what his current handle is. I talked to him a couple weeks ago. Actually, he's still doing good. Yeah, he drew a little character, and God, this is ancient shit now. But like in 2012, I was just making songs for my friends. DGN was an internet buddy of mine at the time, and yeah, I made him a little jazzy tune, and that was fun. I haven't talked to him in a while. I hope he's doing good. But I talked to Locke a couple of weeks ago, and I still talk to Logan regularly. And Logan makes music under the name Chapel Point, and he's been kind of huge to me over the years, just inspiration wise. He's a good buddy of mine too, but I would not be making the music or listening to the music that I listen to now without him, for sure. I remember, like, I met him in 2011, 2012, and he introduced me to, like, Flying Lotus, and just the music he makes is very, very good, too. Like, I hope that I need to talk to him about making stuff later. Yeah. Anyway, that's a tangent, but no, he's been hugely beneficial to my brain, creatively and otherwise as well. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. God. Yeah.
And so
old stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of old stuff, and this is my perfect segue here, you're also releasing this album on cassette, as previously mentioned. So
yeah.
What's the process been like behind that?
So that's been pretty fun. Really simple and easy. I've been working with John at Devotion. He started a net label / collective last year, and he's like, dude, you want to be a part of this thing? I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. And we were talking about the album while I was making it, and I think he mentioned to me, you know, you want to do a physical? Or maybe I mentioned it, I don't remember, but one of us mentioned it. One of us brought up the idea when we were talking about plans he has, and he was very receptive to it. Great dude, super good buddy of mine. We mentioned, you know, doing the cassette run, and he let me make all the decisions on like the color and how many we're doing, and he let me do all the art stuff for it, which was really cool. I designed like the J cards, and I did all the art actually for all the tracks and for the album art and everything. And if you listen to the album like on Spotify or YouTube or whatever, then you know you'll see the one red album art that I made. But If you download the album on Bandcamp, you'll see that every track has like unique art, and I made all of those myself. Just like glitching out pictures and like drawings I did in MS Paint, and just glitching them out and turning them into abstract pieces. That was kind of a fun process too. Just kind of like, every song, like what color is it? Like what does it look like to me in my head? This sounds insane. I sound like a crazy person, but like what does this song look like to me? And, like,
you're focused on like audible texture. I feel like a transition to not physical, but visible texture. I feel like you're not as insane as you think you are.
Well, that's nice to hear. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me in my head, right? Like, like Xylem, I was looking up at the sky. I made this, like, airy, kind of ethereal, Aphex Twin Flim-esque song, and what does that look like to me? Oh, it looks green. So the art for that is like this green glitchy mess, and everything on every piece of art is like very glitchy because the album is very glitchy and textured and layered, and I went ham on like drums and loops and everything and just glitched everything out, and it's definitely the most like intricate and glitchy and whatever album I've made so far, and it was just fun to just go balls out with everything. Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was fun. It was cool. But yeah, I did all the art for the cassette tapes and designed them and picked out how they look, and John was super nice. Shout out to John at Devotion. Everybody go follow Devotion on Twitter. I don't know what the ad is off the top of my head, but follow Devotion. Check out what they're doing because they've got some cool stuff in the pipeline.
We'll definitely have to take a look.
Yeah.
So do we have an estimate for when the cassette is going to be ready to go and how much that'll cost? I know it's not releasing with the album.
It is actually. Yeah.
Really?
They'll be going live tonight when the album goes
out.
Oh,
okay.
We're recording this right now, like before the album comes out, but when you listen to this, it'll probably be about the same time? I don't know. We're getting a little too meta here. I'm about to implode, but no, the cassette tapes will be live with the album and they should ship out within a week. Yeah. And
wow, that's great.
It's a very limited run. There's only 25 of them, so get them while you can. I think they're $10 or $11, and shipping, I'd have to check my notes. I don't know how much shipping. I think it's $5.
Okay.
I'll double check that later, but about $15 a pop, 20 total, and there's 25 of them, so get them while they're hot, fellas. They'll be available on the Bandcamp page.
Yeah, man, I'll definitely have to look into that.
Yeah.
As mentioned right before recording, I'm sitting right next to my handy dandy cassette tape player from, I believe this model's from 79, maybe not 79. It's very early 80s though.
Cool.
If not late 70s.
Yeah, that's how the album was meant to be listened.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to what I want to say, how it was meant to sound.
I gotta get
a cassette tape player that hardly works.
I gotta get a tape deck. I haven't had a tape deck in like a year or two. I got rid of mine a while ago. I gotta get like a cassette player or something just to listen to my stupid thing.
Dude, this one's nifty. This one has an equalizer with controls right on the front.
That's really cool. That'll be fun to play with.
I'm gonna listen to this album the way it was meant to be heard, by randomly messing with dials.
Yeah, just bass boosted the entire time. It just sounds like shit.
Bass boosted Surri.
I actually played with bass a lot more on this album. I've kind of always been afraid of bass. Like, it is very hard to make a song with bass in it that doesn't sound like shit. So I've always been like, I'm not even gonna attempt. But I think every song on the album has bass in some way, or at least most of them do.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Now that I think about it,
it's like the first real album I've made. I feel like it's insane. Yeah. But yeah, cassette tapes will be live, and those will be cool, hopefully. Yeah, I hope everybody likes those.
So, what's your favorite track on the album?
That's an interesting question. It changes. Most of the time, I'd say Fox. Off the top of my head, it was the first song I made, and I like it a lot. It's a very emotional tune to me. I like it. Sometimes it's psychic. I like that song a lot too. Very fun to make. Very fun to play around with, like. I don't know how to put it into words. I like those two. Lately, it's been Otis Elevators, though. The latest favorite of mine is Otis Elevators. I had a lot of fun with that one. That one's kind of different. I was talking with somebody about the album recently. I was like showing it to them, and they were kind of like giving me feedback as we were listening to it together. And when we got to Otis Elevators, I was like, "This is my favorite currently," and he was like, "Yeah, this one's really cool. A lot of these songs have very clear like messages and tones to them, but this one I cannot parse. I cannot decipher it at all." And I was like, "That kicks ass. That's great." It doesn't make any sense in the context of the album. It's not a sad song. It's not a moody song. It's not a happy song.
Otis Elevators.
The vocal sample doesn't make any sense. It's a sample from Longmont Motion Castle,
Man.
and he's
I love that guy.
Same. He's a favorite of mine. My buddy Nathan showed me him for the first time a couple years ago, and I get into moods where I just go through and listen to a bunch of calls that he does, and I sample him a couple times on the album. I love that guy. I hope he's having a great week.
You've got a sample of, I think it's the GameStop one in particular.
That's my favorite skit. That's my favorite bit that he does when he calls that GameStop employee, and you can tell that GameStop manager's been waiting for this day his entire life. He's just ready to go to war, and the guy's like not even doing anything horrible. He's just like, "I'm gonna bring my joystick and kick your ass. You're gonna taste my foot." He's just saying nonsense, and the guy's just going insane. He's like, "I'm calling the police. I'm gonna kill you." He's like, "You're gonna feel my grip." I love that shit. I love that surreal shit. It's great.
He's real good at surreal insults.
Oh yeah, yeah. You wear wigs down there? You a wig wearer? You got any mucus? I need a cup of mucus. Just love that shit. But yeah, the process of making the album has been very long, and my favorite song has changed many times. But if you ask me right now, presently on May 23rd, 2021, my favorite song is Otis Elevators, and it's fun, it's weird. I had a lot of fun making it. It was very different. But if you ask me most of the other days of the week, I'd probably say Fox. That's a safe answer, I'd say. It's the first one I made. Starlet's vocal performance, I very much enjoy. I loved working with her. I loved working with her vocals. It was fun. It was good. I liked it.
That's good.
Yeah.
So we talked a bit, about some of your vocal samples, like Longmont Potion Castle just now, and I know there's some others, like some clips from Nathan For You in there.
Yeah.
But for the other samples, other than the vocal clips that you can hear kind of clearly, like for the instrumental ones and the ones you've mixed in there, could you tell us a little more about the process of pulling out samples there, and how you pick out these samples that you mix into the song?
Yeah.
And
yeah, so like I've been sampling more and more lately, and Pleiades, like that glimmery blippy that bass that drives the song is sampled from this Christian CD that my dad owned when I was a kid, and one of the songs just has this like glitchy like refrain in it, and I was like, I'm gonna turn this into a breakcore song,
So the process, the way that it usually goes, is that you hear the sample and then make the song, or that you hear a sample and you're like, I'm going to fit this into a song.
Usually it's the former.
Okay.
Usually I hear something and I'm like, I want to turn this into something completely different. I want to make this mine. That's usually how it goes. Sometimes I'll hear something and I'll be like, okay, I got to put that in somewhere. And like, for those of you unaware, I use Audacity and my keyboard, and that's it. You know, I don't have access to a DAW. I'm not a real musician. I don't know what I'm doing, but making like something that you found on YouTube or whatever fit like key wise and tempo wise and Audacity is not an easy process, but it is the most rewarding shit in the world if you can pull it off, and it is very fun, very cool. Yeah, I sampled like what did I sample that was cool? On I'm not gonna be able to think of it. That's fine. Or no, on favorite, on the song favorite. So that piano was not in the song originally. It was originally like just that synthy stuff in the second half.
Yeah.
And I was listening to Duster, my favorite band. And the final song on their EP 1975, has this beautiful like outro piano and stuff. And I don't know what clicked in my head, but I was like, I need to speed that up and put that in there. So I did, and it fit key-wise, made it fit tempo-wise, and it just kind of became the new skeleton of the song. I cut out a lot of the synthy stuff and just kind of put that in the background, but yeah, I made that as kind of like the final relaxing song. There's kind of like movements in the album. Like it starts out with this kind of grandiose opening, and Guardian gets you moving, and there's a couple of mid-tempo songs. Then Mystic Water, Xylem, Fox, Psychic are all kind of high tempo, and then it gets crazier with Nathan Fielder and Espoir and Pleiades and Otis Elevators, and then it slows down around the last third of it with a suite of like Which Event, I've Been Losing You, which is a cover of Akira Yamaoka's song from Silent Hill 3 soundtrack, and Favorite. And those are like it's kind of like a cool down period in the album before I change it up again at the end. But structurally, I think this is the strongest album I've made too, just because I had a very clear idea of like, if this was a movie, you know, where the climaxes are, where the violent fight scenes are, where the death scenes are, you know what I mean? Like I had that very clear in my head. That was really cool. But this doesn't make any sense. I'm just kind of
this is the soundtrack to The Matrix if it was directed by David Lynch. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm not going to say that explicitly, but if that is the interpretation you take away, I'm not going to say that you're wrong. I'm going to say, hell yeah, brother. You keep on doing what you're doing. I respect and applaud you. But yeah, no, it's been fun. This is the coolest album I've made. You know, not to toot my own dick that much, but this is the coolest thing I've made, and I'm very proud of it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
that's really good. So I guess, you know, just kind of end things off. What's coming next after this?
I don't know. We'll see.
I think this is the same answer you gave me last time. And then you went and made this.
Yeah, so who knows? Who fucking knows? Maybe another EP or something. I still have a lot of juice. You know, this isn't the last thing I'm making or anything, but I would like this to be kind of my statement for the time being. To the 5 people that follow my music, and have been interested in the Surri project, I'm probably going to stick around making music under this name. I don't really see myself going back to Lukepi anytime soon. I feel very liberated making music under this name. I can just do whatever I want, and I want to stick with it for the time being. Yeah.
Well, that's good. All right.
Yeah.
Well, man, I guess that's kind of where we end things off, because we were originally planning around a half hour, and we're at 45 minutes on recording now. I'm probably going to cut that down a little.
Yeah, sure.
Just with, like, a little cutting out, like, like I think a minute of that is like mic check or whatever, but whatever.
Yeah.
So
thank you for the interview. I appreciate your interest and support. People listening, check out. Well, if you're listening, you already are following Limitbreaker probably, but give Andy support and money and flowers in the mail, all that nice stuff.
Especially the last one.
He loves flowers. Send him flowers.
Yeah, I love flowers.
Yeah.
I love flowers.
Yeah.
I hate money. I love flowers. I wake up in the morning. I go down to Better Home and Gardens, and I get more flowers.
I also
plant them outside my house.
I also hate money and love flowers. I pay for my meals with flower petals, and I plant money in my garden.
Yeah. So, like, when you go to Bandcamp, just select their payment option to pay with flowers, and
please pay me in
get
flowers.
Luke a garden.
Yeah, get me a garden.
Yeah.
Get
Get this man a garden.
Yeah.
But no, sincerely, it's been a blast, Luke. It's been a blast to record yet another interview with you. One day we will talk about Death Consciousness. One day we will record a jam session episode where we talk about an album that completely nullifying my prior comment about how music reviews are worthless, because we are the greatest music reviewers of all time, because we've never reviewed an album ever in our lives.
Giggity.
All right, everybody. That's it.
All right.
Have a good one.
Namaste.